Hi, I'm John Doherty, and this is a new YouTube series for me where we're going to look at two great ball strikers and nerd out on their similarities and differences. And I had to start this out with my teaching mentor, Mac O'Grady, and then my childhood, who I wanted to swing like hero, Steve Elkington. I was a teen in the 90s, and both these guys were playing well. Mac won twice in the late 80s, and then Elk, won 10 PGA Tour events in that 90-ish time frame, won a PGA in 95, and almost won the Open Championship in 2002. So I'm 6'3", he's 6'2". It was a great kind of person, body size, shape, height to emulate, and so we're starting with Elk. Another reason why I wanted to put these two guys is you got one guy super upright, much more up and down vertical plane. Mac much more round, rotational based golf swing. So we can really see some big differences, while we still see some similarities as well. Both of them were taught kind of in that golf machine family. You got Elk worked with Ben Doyle. Ben Doyle worked directly with the guy that wrote the book, Homer Kelly. And then you got Mac, who worked directly with Homer Kelly, and probably worked with Ben Doyle. Probably had brushed shoulders with all those guys at some point way early in his career as well. But anyway, so you're going to see two totally different ways to get the job done, but both came up from the golf machine family, which is renowned kind of for having multiple patterns, not teaching one way to swing, but kind of picking out the fundamental things you need to focus on and giving you some options, lots of options. So we'll start at address. First thing I notice, obviously, is Mac's tipped over more. Elk's much more upright. Elk's chin's up. Mac's chin's down. That chin up thing, chin down thing is very important to Morad and Mac O'Grady's research to get that foveal field or your vision facing directly at that golf ball. It makes a lot of sense. You wouldn't see a baseball hitter have his chin up and looking at the sky while the pitcher's releasing the ball, and then at the last second get his eyes on the ball. You just don't see that in any sport, really. And golf, you do. Golf, you see the chin up and people looking down their cheekbones at the golf ball. And the main reason why with these more upright style swings is the left shoulder and the left arm gets in the way. It collides with the chin. So getting the chin up gives you that space to have that range of motion. Where Mac style being more tipped over, the arms are going to swing much more around his body. It's really not going to have that collision and have to have that chin up like Elk is. Both of them have a very rounded spine. I'm using this OnForm app to video this and draw all these lines. It's a wonderful thing. All my clients get access to it. Saves all your videos to the cloud so it doesn't fill up your device. But both of them have very neutral, rounded spines. You're not seeing that Will Zalatoris anterior tilt kind of posture where the butt's up and the back's arched. That style setup where you look like this flexes your back muscles and definitely puts you at risk of injury. Where the other way, looking like Nicklaus, Palmer, Snead, Mac, Elk, where you are sucking your stomach in, engaging your core muscles. That's rounding the spine like an angry cat. Doing it this way, engaging the core, relieves the muscles on your lower spine. Very nice way to set up to the golf ball, very rounded and down way to set up. Mac's got a little more knee flex. He's lower. That means that club shaft's running more through his zipper. His arms are hanging down. Both of them are, but Elk's more upright. Elk's club's going up more above the belt buckle, which makes sense. He's about to take this thing straight up. All right, we'll look at P2. P2 is really big in Morad and Mac O'Grady. To get this sequence right, to get the club head to run through the hands at P2, it's a delicacy. It takes a lot of sequence for that to match up every time. Most people are going to be like Elk and have this club head come inside the hands at P2. This P system I'm talking about, Mac created it just to communicate easier. P1 being set up, P2 is this club shaft parallel to the ground in the backswing, and so on. Just makes it easier to say where we're at in the swing. P2 is real easy to go inside, especially on the more upright postures or people that turn early, extend early. That club head's just going to want to come in as soon as that right wrist bends back. You don't want to cock the wrist up. Cocking the wrist messes up a lot of the things the golf machine teaches, but it puts a lot of pressure. It makes you kind of get the pressure and torques to happen in the downswing where you don't want them to be. So just bending the right wrist back in the takeaways what we want, and then flexing the right elbow, fanning the right elbow will naturally cock the left wrist the amount it needs to be cocked. If we run this up, the big differences are going to start to show up now. So Mac's getting this club much more around him, although that left arm is still up and on that top pec. So even though this club's more deep and around, he still loaded that arm up on that top pec. Elk's going to purely almost lift it from here. So he's going to go straight up at the top. So not a lot of rotation really from either one of them. They're not really over rotating or over twisting. Really a function of where Mac pulled his arms back to, gave him that extra little bit, and then Elk a lot less turn and a lot more lift. It actually has a little bit of a slide from the face-on view. So this is where things just really change. Now, I mean, of course, being this tall, Elk is, being that close to the ball, getting this upright, the dangers of this swing are going to have the swing direction to go too far left. If he opened up too much and didn't side bend, his swing direction would go left in a hurry. Mac, the danger with this style swing, getting wrapped back in here and a little lower, is definitely to have the swing direction go too far to the right. So you're going to see things in the downswing that are going to negate both of those pitfalls in the downswing. We'll start with Mac. Mac's going to keep that left arm up on that top pec as he opens up and gets the hand path to go out. And as that's happening, his body, his right shoulder, is going down, out, and forward as that's happening to help promote that hand path from this deeper position for it to come out as that left arm stays up. Elk, on the other hand, already has the up. So while he's still going to open up, you can still swing under plane from here. You could still get the swing direction too far to the right where Elk's at. It's not guaranteed to have the swing direction left too much. You can get it going too far right if his arms were to fall and he were not to open and just purely slide. He could get too far out, swing to the right. But so you need this opening. Watch his left knee swing open. His hand path will come out over the shoulder. But as that's happening in his case, as he's opening up and getting his hand path to come out, he is side bending more than Mac. So he's going to start side bending as that opening's happening. The hands are going out to the ball nicely. That's dropping the shaft back. He is opening, but he's definitely side bending more, which is keeping that right shoulder, where Mac's right shoulder is definitely going down, out, and forward. Elk's is pretty much just going down to the ground, not really going much out and not really going much forward. So this is where you're going to see the real big difference in the release. Elk is going to run out of right arm a lot sooner than Mac because of how this body had to tilt back as he was opening up. So then you're going to see this huge release difference. And when I first got in the teaching business, that was a big deal. You had the slingers, and then you had the Hogan-like release and Mac-style release, where there wasn't that crossover. And a big function of that, and why Elk's is doing that and Mac's is not, is really a function of what the body had to do in Mac's case to get the swing direction established, to bring everything out. His right shoulder, his right side of his body had to go down, out, and forward a lot more to get that established, where Elk, because of the lift, really had more fall back as he opened up to get that swing direction to not go too far left. He also had to open to make sure it didn't go too far right, and then that shoulder stayed back. And that right arm ran out of right arm, and that's why it looks like this crossover release. You see it with Davis Love as well, B.J. Singh, Phil Mickelson, the guys usually on the more upright planes, and not the rotational-based guys that are bringing it from deep and then changing their swing directions around more with the rotation of the body. That's your big difference in these two, is how they get the swing direction established, how they get that angle of attack, the shallowness established, based on all really kind of started at setup. So how they set up to the ball, upright, close to the ball, or bent over a little farther from the ball. How the club wrapped around, how they got the club head out with the body rotation, or it was already out and up, and they really just needed a little rotation with a little fallback. All that established things for this release that happened. But if you go to their impact and you see when that moment of truth happened, you'll see a lot of things that are pretty dang similar. Right elbow's flexed. So Elk did not run out of right arm on this shot. That would have been a pull hook. He did not, his right shoulder was down enough to where he had the left wrist uncocked, the right wrist slightly bent, right arm relaxed and bent underneath that left arm. He is not running out of right arm. You'll see most bad swings, their right arm is completely straight at impact. You'll watch the best ball strikers and their right arm is going to be bent regardless of the plane angle. So you look at Elk on a very vertical plane, Mac on a very rounded plane. This structure, Homer Kelly, he called it the flying wedges. You'll see most of the golf machine guys pose this impact with this flat, uncocked left hand, this bent back right hand, this bent right elbow, this uncocked left wrist, this bent right wrist. This look at impact is a very consistent. Most people I see impact with the wrist cocked, the right arm straight, and that's causing a lot of flipping and then chicken winging to not chunk it. You're losing a lot of control with the sweet spot, the club face, the radius of the ground. It makes that consistency of that solid strike so much more hit or miss than coming into impact like this. This needs to be the goal, and then find a swing and a body shape and a style that fits yours, and then grab some of those alignments and make them your own. And that's hopefully the goal of this YouTube series, is to start kind of taking really great players, putting them side by side next to somebody else. Maybe you'll find your model, and then start studying those pieces, understanding them, identifying them, and then incorporating them into your swing. I'll stand up now and just run through a couple of the things and give some examples of the upright swing and the Mac O'Grady flat swing, and hope this mic picks up my voice. All right, so you got Elk much more upright. Of course, you're not going to see my feet here. And then you had a lot more lift. And then this left, he's already got a lot of the up and the out with the hands, but he still needs to open up. So the hands are still going to come out, but that side bend's going to kick in a lot earlier in his case to get that shaft as shallow as the hands go out to the ball. So that right shoulder is just pretty much going to go down. Then that left wrist is going to uncock to impact, and then right past impact, because that right shoulder just went down, he's going to see a lot more of this crossover release. In Mac's case, things were much deeper, much more tipped over, and then his body, while that left arm stayed up, brought everything out. So that right shoulder went a lot more down, out, and forward in transition, and then he's going to kick side bend in much later near the ball, instead of kicking that side bend up here early to get that shaft tipped out. Getting that body much more down, out, and forward before that side bend kicked in, is getting that right shoulder in place to where now he's not going to run out of right arm until very late, more into the finish of the golf swing. So I hope this video helped clear up some things and maybe get you started on finding a model, and I hope it's successful and you like it, and I hope y'all have a great 2024.